You can
Okay.
also move into one of the gated communities, but $300 a month will get me 3 bedrooms and a brand new um, building or set of buildings. It's actually a house, not an apartment.
Can I ask you a quick favor? Adventure Freaks is growing, but over 80% of you watching right now aren't subscribed yet. If you love tips on affordable living and retiring abroad, hit that subscribe button. It's free and it really helps us grow. All right, today we're going to head down to the beautiful country of Ecuador to a special city that we've never talked about today with my new friend Pinky. Pinky, thanks for doing the podcast.
Hey, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. It's a beautiful sunny morning.
All right. Well, let's start by you giving the viewers an idea about who you are, where you're from, and how you landed in Ecuador, and then let them know what city you're living in because it's a unique city that a lot of people really don't consider.
That is true, absolutely. So, my birth name is Kim, and I spent the bulk of my life in the area of Syracuse, New York, which for anybody who isn't from the Northeast is about 7 hours from the city. I am not
Hmm.
a New Yorker, I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Anyway, due to changes in economic stuff, after my kids graduated high school, I migrated to Nashville. I spent about 15 years there in the Bible Belt, and the buckle smacked me a couple of times and gave me a new perspective on the world. And as for the Ecuador story, believe it or not, about 30 years ago, I was sitting in a doctor's office reading a magazine. And it was about this person who had retired to Costa Rica. And it was about how affordable and blah blah blah, and it was a really fascinating article. I was probably 24 years old. I was a waitress. I was a single mom.
Uh-huh.
I really didn't have the kind of prospects that included living in a coastal region, foreign land, but it
Hmm.
planted a little seed. And over the years, you get this fabulous thing called HGTV. And one of my favorite shows back in the I'm a Mom Raising a Family days was House Hunters International.
Oh, wow.
And so, as you watch this program, Costa Rica is shown to me in lots of different ways. And one of them is that the economical advantages have passed. They really aren't any less, pardon me, any less expensive to live in Costa Rica than it would be to live in the States. So
Hmm.
I started looking at other places that may offer the same kind of opportunities. And you had Belize and Nicaragua, Honduras, I think
Yeah.
was one of them, and of course, Ecuador.
Yes.
And so you start watching those places and you learn a little more. And ultimately, probably about 20 years ago, I focused on Ecuador and that seed started getting some watering
Okay.
and it became a plant.
Okay. So 20 years ago, you kind of identified Ecuador as the place. So how many years ago did you move to Ecuador?
So we took the opportunity to retire a little earlier than most, and we have been here. Actually, we celebrated our 7 year anniversary in August. I
Okay.
say we like, well, I'll get to that part, but yeah, we've been here 7 years.
So you guys waited 13 years after figuring out Ecuador was the place. You actually waited 13 years before making the move.
Well, yeah, it wasn't so much waiting as, we're still in our early 40s, mid 40s. We aren't in a financial position at that point to
Gotcha.
retire yet.
Okay. Not sure which country is the best fit for your move abroad? The Ideal Destination Finder takes the guesswork out of the process. It's a customized 22-question assessment that reveals your top 3 destinations based on your lifestyle, priorities, And budget. Instead of spending months researching and second guessing, you'll get a clear, personalized short list to guide your next step abroad. And it could save you thousands by avoiding the wrong move. You can get started now at adventurefreaks.com. Just scroll down a little bit and you'll see the ideal destination finder on the left. Just click it and start the assessment. I also put the link in the description, or you can click the QR code above. Now let's get back to the video. All right, so now let's dive in and reveal the city you live in, because people that go to Ecuador don't choose this city. I want to know, what was it about this city you chose and what makes it so special?
Well, what makes it special to me is that it was the underdog. I live in Guayaquil,
Guayaquil.
or to say it phonetically, Guayaquil.
Yes, and it's
Um,
on the coast. It's
it
a
is.
coastal
It's
town.
part of the coastal region of Ecuador. It is the port city of Ecuador. The tourism around the city is based on the river, which comes in from, it's a tidal river. So at low tide, it's a mud flat, and at high tide, it can be moving pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what brought me is I'm a little bit unlike most people, and I recently discovered I have a granddaughter diagnosed with something called oppositional defiance disorder, and I thought the moment I heard the words, I know where she got that. And literally, I was brought to this city by a friend of mine in our first year here. And every minute he was like hovering over us, like we might disappear. And I thought, what is going on? Never come here by yourself, he said. And I'm thinking immediately, like, I'll be back at midnight naked. That's that defiance thing. Like, don't tell me no.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward a little time, a long story short, the we I have been mentioning is my husband and I retired here in 2018.
Okay.
The pandemic, however, was very unique here, and we were in lockdown. Like literally had to be in our homes at 2 in the afternoon for it felt like forever, but it was only a couple of months. The military walking the beach
Hmm.
because we weren't allowed to do anything here. I was
Hmm.
really bad for a little while, and
Yeah.
that finished off my marriage. So I spent about a year in the same town as he, but I ended up buying a vehicle, started providing transportation to North Americans because English and safe, reliable, etc.
Yeah.
And I ended up moving to Guayaquil because that's where the airport was. So that was why I came. Why do I
Okay.
stay? I like the energy here.
Yeah.
I like living authentically. I like getting on the Metro Via because they told me I shouldn't, and I can't
Hmm.
figure out why. It's a bus. It's
Yeah.
crowded. When they say it's dangerous, they make me think because of crime. No, it's dangerous because it's so full. If the door happened to open, you might fall out.
Yeah.
You're squished, right?
Yeah.
I move around the city. I have lived in several sectors. When I first arrived, I was only going to live in this one area. It was the only place I felt safe. And
Uh-huh.
after living there a year, I realized I was paying an awful lot of rent for what's perceived safety,
Hmm.
right? I mean, there are areas I would steer people away from and areas I would steer people toward. And I
Hmm.
guess a lot of that depends on the people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this city has a lot to offer. For example, this is definitely not my budget, but you can get a high-rise apartment on the river in Puerto Santa Ana, which is the oldest part of the city. It's right on the river, and it's a very deluxe area now. You could get fully furnished 3 bedrooms, killer view, all the amenities, security building, 12 to 2,000 a month, all in.
12,
Right? That's
12.
in your happy budget. If that's what you're paying for rent for a cheap place in Nashville these days, which is what I'm told is going on. I had a waitress in Nashville this spring tell me she was moving out of her $2,000 a month one bedroom,
Yeah.
$2,000 for one bedroom.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
3 bedrooms on the river, beautiful view, sunsets, easy
And
access to all kinds of markets, restaurants, etc.
so those will start at about 1200 and go on up from there.
Correct. You can
Okay.
also move into one of the gated communities. That's Ecuador's idea of safety.
Yeah.
And so there'll be, a closed gate at the entrance to the urbanization. That's what they sort of call a subdivision here.
Yeah.
And that'll have a security guard, and you can get those in neighborhoods all over. Like I was recently looking at online. I haven't actually been there. I had someone else look for me. But $300 a month will get me 3 bedrooms in a brand new um, building or set of buildings. It's actually a house, not an apartment. And it has security at the gate, but it's in a neighborhood that's very industrial. So, after dark, eh,
Yeah.
different story. So
So
a lot of that, though, for me, I'm very comfortable moving about the city. I don't put out victim energy. I kind of have more of an I dare you edge.
yeah, well, you're an urbanite, it sounds like. You like the vibe of the city, you like the feel, you like the energy, like you described. You're saying you can get another 3 bedroom in a gated community in a brand new um built building for 300 a month?
Absolutely. And I was kind of shocked about that
So
myself.
what
I
can you
couldn't
get a
believe
one
the
bedroom for in
Well, okay. So
Guayaquil?
again, it goes down to where,
Yeah.
what, all of this. So the places I've lived, all right. My first apartment was what is called a dependent suite. And
Okay.
in Ecuador, a suite is basically either one really big room or a 1 bedroom.
Okay.
Okay. Dependent means I got to go through somebody else's space to get to it. All right. That lasted a month because even though the pandemic was over, these were double mask people.
Hmm.
And so when I had guests over for 2 nights in a row, they're like, when are they leaving? Why are they in our place? They need to go. And I thought, no, I need to go. And I did.
Hmm.
I was paying 190 for 2 bedrooms, a little kitchen, and access to like the garden and the patio and stuff. The
Okay.
next apartment was in this great neighborhood. There's a mile long street that's all restaurants and hair places and shops. It's called Ordesa. I love it. I recommend it to anybody who's considering this city. Get an Airbnb there. There's a nice hotel as well. It's located near the University of Guayaquil. And again, it's got a lot of good energy, nightlife, things to do. You can walk to 30 countries in food,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And so I love it there. But that suite now it's a good size 1 bedroom, but it's not furnished, or it was actually semi-furnished.
Hmm.
And that was 320 a month.
Okay.
Plus I paid my own electric. I think water almost always ends up being included because it's attached to the house, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, I left
Okay.
there and moved to another neighborhood, a lot less access to things, but well, I had access to things, and there's different kind of things, but I was paying 450 for 3 bedrooms. And
Okay.
I stayed there for about 3 years. I liked that apartment. I only left because I was returning to the United States for 6 months, and it felt silly to pay rent on a house I wasn't going to be in.
Sure.
So now I'm in a temporary situation. I'm living in a completely different area of the city that I would not have considered earlier just because of what people said.
Hmm.
But I have a friend who lives here and they offered me a suite. It's a great big space. I live in this for 250 a month all inclusive. I literally live across the street from the Metro Via, which is the bus that has the stations and the dedicated lanes. So if you were, for example, a person had to go to work in the morning, you're not stuck in traffic. There's
Hmm.
cameras and big tickets for driving in those lanes.
Yeah.
And so, I move around the city comfortably. Um, have I had experiences or do I know of people having had them? Yes.
Hmm.
Most of those are about poor decision making on our part. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, my little buddy just joined us. This is Ernest.
Hi, Ernest. You're tiny, so I can't see what kind of Ernest
Come
is.
here, Ernest.
Switch. Ah, beagle.
He's a beagle.
I
He's
love a good beagle. Boy, they
he's a
can be noisy
no,
though.
he sounds like a seal. He
Yes.
sounds like a
So I have a Gigi. One moment. Hello, be like that. Let me say hello because we got dogs on TV. There we go. See,
Oh, this is great.
this is Gigi.
Hey,
She's a chub.
Gigi. Wow, she's cute.
Yeah, she's a gringo. Also, she was 6 months old when we got here.
Oh, okay.
And we moved to a tourist town at the beach where she proceeded to eat her way through Ecuador, and now she's a fat dog.
Yeah, that's what's happening to Ernest here. He likes to eat a lot. You look like you've landed in a good place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a great time. I said I started my life as a teenage mom, and now I get to be this wild, adventurous, pink-haired old lady on
Yeah,
some South American adventure through, like, I've owned two restaurants and a transport and tourism business here.
yeah,
And I've had a blast. Like my life here is so not like the gringo box that most North Americans are looking for. And I understand that people like to be comfortable.
yeah.
And being around people like yourselves makes you comfortable.
Hmm.
But being comfortable doesn't make you grow.
That's true. That is
And
very true.
so I think everyone leaves North America with the idea of coming here and making this drastic change to how they think, live, and experience life. And then they get here, and it's incredibly eye-opening to discover how hard it can be
Yeah.
because learning a new language in your 60s, that's Olympic feat
Hmm. It
energy.
is. It is.
We're
Yeah.
not we're not young learner minds anymore. We're old. Short-term memory is gone in a minute.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
right?
It's like,
I mean, but I'm not wrong. It's funny, but it's true. And so, if you really intend to learn Spanish, I hope those of you who are looking to come here, and I highly recommend
yeah.
Ecuador. And I invest in the Spanish. Start learning it now.
Yeah.
I can give you some free passive ways to add to what paying for learning is, but it's worth your money to pay. Duolingo isn't going to cut it. I don't care how many days streak you got. If you're not walking out the door and speaking to people, it's useless.
Right.
It's words on paper,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. The best way to learn is immersion and get out there and
And
communicate with the
so I've
people.
never, right, I've never had a class. I've only chosen not to live among only my own people.
Yeah.
Started with people who were Latin who had English,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I, the pink hair changed things. I dropped 20 years and a husband. Well, I dropped the husband first, then I got the hair, and then I dropped 20 years. Like I'm not 60 something up here.
Yeah. Is
The
let
rest of
me
me will
ask you
argue
this.
with
You and your husband moved down there together and then you got divorced while living in Ecuador. Does he still live there or did he head back to New York?
that. He does still live here.
He does. Okay. See,
Um, he does, and it's one of the reasons I no longer live in the tiny town on the coast.
okay.
Um, eh, he got custody of the gringos. I know that sounds ridiculous, but the truth of the matter is, I'm a very independent, loud, aggressive, my way or the highway kind of person.
Hmm.
Okay. My husband he's a really awesome human being.
Hmm.
He's gentle, he's kind, he's loving. And 30 years is a lifetime. And when asked if my marriage failed, I look at people and said, if you had a job for 30 years, would you have considered that a career failure?
Right. Yeah.
So my answer is no. Our retirement failed, but our marriage didn't fail. We still like each other, maybe not as much as we used to, but we
Yeah.
don't live together. The
Sure.
dynamic doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
But in the coastal region, everybody sort of felt sorry for Mike because as we were falling apart, as all of this was happening, I'm going through angry and
Yeah.
he's going through victim.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so, I mean, I love him, but that's the reality. So
Yeah.
I left. I
Well,
didn't, he's thriving there.
yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
It is.
Let's
It's
back
great
up.
for him.
Let's back up a little bit, Pinky, and go back. You mentioned a few neighborhoods that you've lived in. You've lived in quite a few places. For the viewers, for the people that are going, wow, she mentioned, I heard 300 for a three bedroom, 190 for a two bedroom. So if people what would be your recommendation of the areas in Guayaquil to live in for these viewers, these retirees that have never been to Ecuador? They want to come down, they want to enjoy it. Maybe they want to walk to the cafe, they want to be able to walk to the restaurants and have some amenities nearby. What neighborhoods would you recommend them to live in?
So, to that walkability idea, the very first one that pops into my head is Urdesa. I
Odessa.
really
Okay.
did enjoy living in that neighborhood. I liked getting up and walking the dog in the morning. I could go to the grocery store on foot. I could buy a ton of groceries and take a taxi to my house for a couple of dollars.
Okay.
Um, if you are going to use public transportation, there were a significant number of buses on that route, and it is walkable to that Metro Via that I mentioned.
Okay.
Um, Another neighborhood that's very popular with Ecuadorians here in the city, as well as most of the gringos who might come to the area, is an area called Samborondon. And I had at least three different North Americans tell me it reminds them of Boca. Now, I don't personally know Boca, so I'll leave that on the table for you.
What is Boca?
Boca Raton in Florida.
Oh, okay. Boca Raton.
Like these are people who've obviously been there and they're like, no, I mean, San Borondon reminds me of Boca. And I'm like, well, I've never been there.
That's good. So that's another area. In both of
Correct.
those
And that's going to
areas.
be just an FYI. I know the actual cost of a home there because I have a friend who lives there.
Okay.
They rent in a very nice gated community, lots of tree-lined streets. They live in that community is a bunch of sub-communities. And so there's probably at about 30 houses in it with a pool and a separate garden in their section. They were paying 700 a month for a three-bedroom house and another 70 per month for what they call the Alacosta, which is
Hmm.
really what we would call your HOA.
Okay.
That's what's paying for the pool and the security guy. And
Okay.
so at under $800, they're in a beautiful gated community in an area where you can get around by bus, but if you're living in San Borondon, you probably have a car.
Okay.
And you better be prepared for traffic because it's the burbs, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the workday,
Yeah.
it gets a little hectic. Here's a really cool tip for your folks, okay? Something that people don't know how to do. Most people come here and immediately start looking for the North American way to find a place to live. Somebody give me a real estate agent. Somebody find me an Airbnb, somebody tell me
Yeah.
how to get what I want. Here's how you get what you want. You hire a local to drive you around the neighborhoods you are interested in, and you call the number on the wall because the people renting are not advertising. And if they are, they're smart enough to be taking more money than the neighbor who is not.
Right.
So the best way to find a place to live is to have a local driving you and calling those numbers because they're not going to gringo price the local.
Pinky, when you're
Correct.
driving around with this local and he's taking you through these neighborhoods, how do you know what apartments are up for rent? What does the sign say?
So basically, the word is acular. It's ALQUILAR. That's the verb, rent.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So there's usually it'll say suite. Now you know a suite, I've already told you, it's a big single space or maybe a one bedroom size space.
Yeah.
The other might say departamento, and it might tell you dos habitaciones,
Mm-hmm.
two bedrooms, right? Or it might
Mm-hmm.
not. You might have to call.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll say estudiante because you're near a university and it's really just rooms,
Mm-hmm.
right? Student housing, which is a great way, by the way, to live cheaply while you explore.
Sure.
And that's another piece of advice I'll give folks who might not get it from other places. Come here. And I mean, I guess some people come knowing exactly where they want to be, but
Mm-hmm.
Ecuador's diversity in a space the size of Nevada is almost as incredible as the United States.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know that's a
Okay.
shocking statement, but my experience has been to drive all over this country no less than a dozen times in total over 3 years. I've been everywhere, man.
Okay.
And there are places I can't wait to return to because the natural energy is just spirit filling. There are other places I dread visiting because the opposite is true. The energy saps me.
Yes.
There are places that are stunning. I've held a hummingbird in my hands 4 times since living here. Two of them because they drove themselves into a window and knocked themselves out and
Yeah.
came back to life in my hand. What an
Yeah. Well,
experience.
Pinky, are you going to reveal what those places are that you can't wait to visit again?
Oh, absolutely. I hope at some time in the future that I get to live in a place known as Baños Saint Agua.
Okay.
That is sort of in the between Quito and the jungle region. And it's volcanic and it's known for its thermal waters and
Okay.
its waterfalls. It is the most tourism driven area in the country. So
Oh,
there's all kinds of canyoning to do. It's also only a 70-minute drive to the jungle.
okay.
So there's a lot to do there. I really like Baños. I love a place called Papayacta, but that too is about thermal baths. And that's a like an hour out of Quito. That's a day trip from a Quito visit.
Mm-hmm.
I love visiting Cotacachi and Otavalo. Those are
Okay.
in the northern region, and it's about the flowers and the marketplace and the indigenous still being very much alive in a lot of their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Here in Guayaquil, because of my time doing tourism, I still to this day, when someone says, "Oh, I'm stuck in the city for a night before I go wherever I'm headed," I'll be like, "You want to meet for coffee? I can show you around the city." I no
Mm-hmm.
longer do it for money. I do it because it gets me out of my house and allows me to show off a little of what I've learned.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so I like the adventure of this place. And
Mm-hmm.
so my advice, that's what I started with. I would come here and I would rent a room and stay a couple of weeks or stay a month or stay two. I would go and visit these places. And in the beginning of my time here, I would do those adventures because you know what happens, just like your life where you are now. How much of the tourism in the 200-mile circle around you have you experienced in your lifetime? You
Mm-hmm.
don't because it's home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before you come here and say I'm home and ignore the rest of Ecuador, come explore, play, have fun. Ask
Mm-hmm.
people like me what to see, where to go, what to do. Go hold your own hummingbird in your hand because the truth is there are places in Mindo,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is a cloud forest,
Yeah.
where you can go to a place and for $5 hold a little thing of the bird food in your hand and they will come and sit on your fingers while they feed
Sure.
because they're that acclimated. The
What a,
beach. I realized I lived my whole life planning to grow up and live at the beach someday. I got there and realized I hate it.
Mhm.
I don't like the climate, the sand, all of it.
Yeah.
At my house, I would clean my floors, take off my socks, and get grit on my feet.
Yeah.
Made me nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I live in a coastal area, but I no longer have sand in my house
Sure.
24/7.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so yeah.
Yeah.
Or in my
All right.
bed, that was the worst. There was always sand in your sheets.
Yeah. Well, before we dive into the cost of living stuff, let's go. Let's this. What do you know for the viewers that are watching, the retirees watching? What do you know about the visa requirements in Ecuador for the retirees?
So if you're talking retirees, there are several options available to you. Most likely, the most comfortable one is going to be the pensioner's visa.
Hmm.
Basically, that's the one that says my pension equals the minimum amount required to live here. And because those numbers have changed since mine, I want to say it's like 1,500 a month, which is
Okay.
kind of silly because minimum wage is five,
Yeah. Well, how
right?
they do that a lot of times in these countries is they do it three times the minimum wage. So that makes sense if it's
It should
$500.
be.
So that would put it at 1,500.
But you can also, again, if you're investor minded people, you can take some of your liquid in the United States and transfer it to an investment here in Ecuador, whether that be real estate or here's something you might not all know that might interest and tempt you. A CD down here, a 1 year CD down here pays between 8 and 9.5%.
Okay.
So if you, I believe it's about 45,000 per
Uh-huh.
person.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
if you take 40, let's say 50 grand for nice round numbers, if you bring $50,000 in and put it in a CD that's making 9% a year,
Hmm.
right? You're not doing too bad. Your money's doing better than a lot of the investment options you have available in the US,
Hmm.
particularly now, because that's only designed to make rich people richer, not
Yeah.
to make median people richer.
Right.
Um,
Pinky, if you put in 45,000 into a CD, you can qualify for the
correct,
investment visa there.
correct.
And you're saying the minimum investment is like 45,000, whether it's
I
in a
do believe
CD.
so.
Okay.
I can always refer you to some experts in the field. The laws, like the governments here, change frequently, and it's
Okay.
not my area of expertise.
Well, let me ask you this. If somebody's interested in going, oh, well, that's only 40, let's say it's 45, 50,000. It makes more sense just to buy a condo or an apartment in Guayaquil rather than throw away money every month. Do you know what the apartments are selling for there?
So I actually happen to have a pretty good idea of that because that touch something on Facebook. Um, my ability to speak Spanish is probably the best of my Spanish skills. Reading it, I still struggle with, and so
Hmm.
I'm reading these ads, but not getting 100%. And I think they were saying like a down payment of 300 a month, but I thought they were saying it was 300 a month, so I clicked on it. And I think that you can find things in and around 100 grand that are in nice areas that are new construction.
Hmm.
However, people should understand that construction Ecuador is very different. The mentality here is very different. They don't want a yard. So you're unlikely to find a patch of grass that's more than 4 square meters,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
They like things very close together. So if you're shopping for a place to live and you're like, why is there only 4 inches between houses? It's because that's how they like it here.
Let's go back. Let's run through some of the cost of living now. So let's start with groceries. How much do you need to spend per month as a single person to get by on groceries?
I I myself, I'm spending, I think, about $75 a week. Okay,
Okay.
which is a little on the high side, and it can
Okay.
be a lot lower.
Okay.
I changed almost everything about my life here. Uh, Dropping quality of food wasn't one of them.
Okay.
Um, so this is the area where I will probably have the least nice to say about Ecuador. Their food is not good.
Okay.
They 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 cook the meat to death. It doesn't. I once watched a woman fry fish for 20 minutes,
Mm.
like teeny tiny little fillets of fish that were just sort of boiling away in oil for days, it felt like.
Mm.
I buy these lovely Argentine T-bones at a
Okay.
store called Super Maxi.
Oh,
They are cut beautifully. They're frozen and vacuum sealed, and they are between $3 and $6 a piece.
wow. Okay.
T-bones,
Yeah. And
tomahawk steak, same thing. Ribeyes. They have all three. And I like rare meat. I don't like ribeye because unrendered fat isn't yummy.
okay.
But I buy these, and because I buy steaks as opposed to, lesser cuts of meat, my grocery
Mhm.
bill runs a little higher.
Okay.
Vegetables and fruits are everywhere. And one of the things I love about this city is everything is a marketplace. The traffic light on a 7 lane one way, 7 lanes. The other side has seven more. But at this traffic light, there'll be 20 people selling 20 things walking in between the cars.
Wow.
And one of
Okay.
the things that you can constantly find to buy is what I call it the dollar bag, because they're very smart in their package pricing strategy. They want to be able to walk up to your window and switch what they have in their hand for your dollar coin. So
Hmm.
they have a dollar bag, right? So
Hmm.
it's a long plastic tube, and a very common dollar bag will be four small tomatoes, three small peppers, and four little purple onions for a dollar.
Wow.
Do you know that an ear of corn and a thing of black beans will make you almost 2 liters of pico de gallo?
Wow. So it sounds very, very reasonable and a lot of options, especially with all those different markets. How about restaurants?
So that's location specific and what you're looking to eat tonight. For example, I have a little guy around the corner from me. He's got a frittata stand. Now, frittata just means fried, but in
Hmm.
his case, it's big old chunks of pork.
Okay.
And so for 250, I can walk away with some fried pork and some corn and like a meal.
Yeah.
A lunch in Ecuador, an almuerzo. This is one of my favorite parts of living here. An almuerzo is typically between 250 and $4.
Okay.
It comes with a bowl, not a cup, but a bowl of soup, followed by a second course, a segundo, they call it.
Oh.
And they'll have something called like seco de pollo,
Hmm.
SECO, seco de pollo, which is, I thought, a seasoning, and I'm laughing still almost 8 years later at how, after being served this several times, I wanted to make it and spent 10 minutes searching for seco in the grocery store. Seco is not a seasoning. It stands for second course. It's sort of a truncated slang,
Yeah.
but it's basically a stewed chicken served
Okay.
over rice and minestra. They don't call them frijoles. I've never heard the word frijoles in Ecuador. It's minestra. So arroz y minestra. You get a protein, rice and beans, maybe a salad, which is onion, tomato, lime juice, and your bowl of soup, and a cup of what Ecuadorians call juice, especially a lunch juice. It's basically real fruit juice that's had a lot of extra water and extra sugar added to sort of turn it into like Ecuadorian Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
But
So,
$3, and that's
wow.
the whole lunch, right?
That's so really, I mean, if you eat out even a couple times a week for lunch, you're not going to spend hardly anything
Oh
per
no,
month.
you can't really even make lunch in the States for 350. I myself, I probably spend maybe another $20 a week.
Okay. All right, great. And then Pinky, how do people get around?
So
do most people walk? Do they have a metro? There's obviously buses. Explain how to move around the city.
we have two driving apps available, Uber being one of them. So if
Okay.
you're already an Uber user, it's just cheaper here.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, cheaper. I had to take an Uber in Nashville to get to the airport on my last day. It cost me $50 to go 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I can go across town here for under 10.
Okay. And how long
Okay.
does that take to go across town?
It depends on traffic and what route and where you're going. It can be slow moving.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, there's a they have what they call the Metro Via. The Metro Via is it would be like a bus type of subway system. It only takes these routes. There's terminals in between.
Mm-hmm.
Those terminals are dedicated to these buses. I call them bendy buses.
Mm-hmm.
They're like two buses with an accordion in between them.
Yeah.
You ever seen those somewhere else? And so they pull into these stations. As a senior, I pay 30 cents.
Oh, nice.
As a street person, it's 45 cents.
Is Guayaquil one of those places where you have to use public transportation a lot as a retiree? Or when you select an area of the city, can you pretty much walk everywhere you need to go to a restaurant, go to the market, go grab the necessities you need and just walk home?
Correct. I can't think of a single area in the city where you can't walk to at least a tienda. A tienda is a little independent market where you
Mhm.
pick up your basics and a lot of times your fruits and vegetables, because supermarket fruits and vegetables are corporate cold trucks,
Mhm.
pre-picked, chemical ripened, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So your tienda is where you want to go get your dollar bag of tomato, pepper, onion,
Right.
or
Yeah.
your five apples, or your bag of strawberries that are so beautifully packed in it that it almost looks perfect.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, let's dive into things to do around Guayaquil. So, what does the city offer? Does it have museums? Does it have galleries? Does it have any kind of, cultural type activities that people can participate in? Or do people just typically do outdoor activities?
Well, here in the city, it's kind of whatever floats your boat, right? Like, so to the museums and galleries, a bunch.
Okay.
There's a bunch, and a lot of them are right on the Malecon. FYI, if you see or hear that word Malecon, equate it to boardwalk.
Yes.
Okay, it's the avenue along the water, the
Hmm.
walking space along the water. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? Okay. So, the city of Guayaquil is sitting on the Guayas River, which is literally coming directly from the sea. It's tidal. It'll be deep, it'll be empty, and everywhere in between throughout the day. The Malecon is the center of tourism for the area. It's a beautiful kilometer along the river with a Ferris wheel and some restaurants and tourism things and statues and a beautiful botanic garden. It's
Hmm.
lovely. You can
Yeah.
spend your whole day outside on the Malecon and be comfortable. There'll be all kinds of free cultural events.
So it sounds like
They
a lot of this entertainment is free. If you're going to go down to this
correct
particular area of Guayaquil, it's free.
or very inexpensive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artwork. There's a lot of historic buildings. If you're a brave soul, and I literally have been told 1,000 times I should never go here alone, and I walk around this place like I own it, okay? It's
Yeah.
just who I am.
Yeah.
It's called the Bahia, which means the bay. And it
Hmm.
is it is a place where I would tell someone that is new to Ecuador not to go
Hmm.
because it is the place where crime is really easy and it happens a
Sure.
lot amongst them. It's where you buy stolen goods and Chinese crap and you get stuff for the cheapest of the cheap prices because it's coming off the boat yards,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But again, I will go hunt down your air conditioner for you in there because I don't have fear. I'm Pinky, man. I'm known everywhere. I walk down a street in a town I haven't been to in 2 years. I hear my name get shouted. I love that crap. I'm so
Yeah.
famous in Ecuador.
Yeah,
But
that's
I like being the expert in this city. I like being able to tell you where to find stuff.
and so you've been down there now for 7 years, Pinky. What do you do for healthcare?
There's a million different options. Almost everyone in the gringo community looks for a private insurance policy. You are
Okay.
welcome once you have a temporary or a visa
Hmm.
to be here. You are entitled to go purchase their public IESS insurance.
Right.
I believe that runs around $100 a month per person, give or
Okay.
take. Um, the private insurance, like anything else, is going to vary from say another 50 to another 150.
Okay.
Finding English speaking medical providers is not going to be easy. So you may want to look at hiring a medical translator. They can be as much as $20 an hour,
Okay.
which is a lot here.
Yeah.
But it's a niche and they know it and you need it because the doctor's saying blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
you is so I'm going to confess that I had a period last year where I was not insured, and that is, of course, when I had a problem. So let me
Yeah.
share my experience because that'll give you an idea of what you might be able to expect here in Guayaquil. I decided that the cat's fur made my hand feel dirty Christmas morning. So off to the shower we went, wetted her down, let her out, and then followed her out of the bathroom and stepped in her puddle, went ass over kettle, and broke my hip.
Oof.
I was in so much pain, I could not move. It took me an hour to climb from the floor to the bed, and it took 12 hours for someone to come enter my apartment looking for me. I
Wow.
was unable to get to my phone. I was unable to do anything but lay there and deal.
Yeah.
I did not have insurance. I did live very close to a fire department ambulance station. My friend went walked down there to get me an ambulance. They required him to phone it in so that the system had me. I sat in that ambulance for 2 hours waiting for Ecuador to tell the ambulance what hospital to take me to. And because I am an uninsured foreigner, I was sent to one of the what they call public hospitals where the services are free.
Okay.
I was in that hospital for 12 days that ended in a surgery where they put a little plate across the fracture in the flat part of it was actually my leg,
Hmm.
that flat part right before the ball that is the joint
Yeah.
was like split. It wasn't a part, but it had a crack down it.
Yeah.
And so I had this experience. I'm a Christian, I might have mentioned. Everyone is like, "You're in what hospital?" No, 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 don't let them take you there. And I'm like, I don't have choices. I only have God's hands.
Hmm.
So great hospital, bad hospital, it's all in God's hands. I can't do anything about any of it. I also, because of who I am and how I live here, I'm one of the moderators on the local expat page. And so a couple, 3 times a year, I'll just say, hey, I'm going to be at anyone who wants to meet up and blah, 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 blah. It's true that I've made lots of contacts, one of which was an administrator in that hospital. He no longer worked there, but
Hmm.
because of that contact, because of a text from the ER, I had an English speaking doctor who came to seek me out to help me navigate what I was going through. They do not bottle pills. They sell everything in blister packs, and I can buy one pill. I don't feel like I'm going to sleep well tonight. I can walk next door to one of my pharmacies and pay 25 cents for a sleeping pill.
Gotcha. That's convenient.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
A
convenient.
muscle relaxer though is $2.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Does that give, I hope, folks an idea
Yeah, that's
of,
very, very
of
helpful information. And I'm glad that the whole situation, you were in a public hospital there for 12 days, and it obviously turned out well for you.
it did. And I mean, okay, so I tell this story because it is so surreal and it's still very fresh. It was less than a year ago. Um, so it's my surgery day, and I'm down in this big ward of pre-surgical people, and it's also shift change, and it's freezing, and I wasn't stressed about any of it until then.
Yeah.
And there's all this chaos that I don't understand because at the moment it's happening, I don't realize it's shift change and that there's double the amount of people and all this noise of information passing. Well, apparently I coughed at some point, and the anesthesiologist heard me and decided that I could not be put under. So
Wow.
I'm going into this surgery, and they're telling me I'm going to be awake. And I'm thinking, are y'all on crack? No way.
Wow.
Like, this is terrifying to me.
Sure.
And so now it's my turn, and he's explained, I promise you're not going to feel anything. I promise it isn't going to hurt. You're not even going to be stressed. And I don't believe him because you just told me I'm going to be awake and aware of all of what's happening to me. And so, and the room is freezing, and I've got to go into this weird traction thing. And I'm crying now because even though I'm never afraid of anything, I'm really, really scared in this
Sure.
moment.
Yeah.
And they get me all set, and he's talking to me in Spanish, of course, and my very limited understanding. And he gives me the injection, and I am awake, but I suppose I could move. I felt like my brain didn't have the energy to cause anything to move. Like, you could move your arms if you wanted to, yeah, but I don't want to. That
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But I did feel like weird tugging sensations, and there were some hammer noises that were a little unpleasant for me. But
Wow.
overall, he's right. I felt nothing. I wasn't stressed. It was more like, well, that's curious, that's odd, that's weird. Oh, that feeling's off. But
Yeah.
no freaking, no. And they said, well, okay, sweetie, we're done. And I said, you're all done? And he says, yes. And I turned my head to the side, and I watched the nurse walk away with a DeWalt cordless drill.
With a drill, a what? A drill?
A DeWalt cordless drill.
Wow.
And I just like the surrealism of the DeWalt brand and
Yeah.
all of that. It
Yeah.
was just
And there,
it was something else. And
that
now,
is, that's wild.
yeah, no, it was. Now the food is terrible. You really do want to have people who will come and smuggle you food,
Bring
you
food in.
know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's lonely and boring. But if you can get them to give you the Wi-Fi and bring a tablet, you're golden.
Yeah.
Download a few movies and
Well,
don't try
there are,
streaming and
yeah,
yeah,
there's countries where if you get into the public system in certain areas or certain countries, you got to have relatives and friends bring you food when you're in there for that many days. Some
yeah.
hospitals in the public systems, not that I'm aware of in Ecuador, but other countries where you have to actually bring your food. They don't make food for you.
The other side of it is there's a very different level of care.
Yeah.
That they aren't coming by often. They're doing only the bare minimum. They make the bare minimum.
Yes.
When people wonder about why everything is so easily corrupted, well, when minimum wage is under $500 a month, well, a month, a month. I
Hmm.
didn't say that by accident. These
Hmm.
people make something like $2.50 to $3 an hour.
The last thing I just wanted you to share was what's the people are always interested if they go to Guayaquil and they live there, what is the weather like year round?
So Guayaquil is hot and sunny.
You're
Um,
okay.
The rainy season and the hot season at the beach are at the same time, which is very confusing for people. The sun will be out all day, hot, steamy, sunshiny beach weather, and then at night you'll get the rain. It might linger into the morning, and then the late morning is all about the rain going back up and the humidity being ridiculous.
Hmm.
Guayaquil gets a lot less rain. It's a much more desert-like climate. And when it
Okay.
gets the rain, it's again at the nighttime, January to April or May. Otherwise, the climate here is Arizona. Maybe no, it's more humid. Sorry, let's go maybe more like Miami.
Okay.
Hot, sticky, humid. Though I will say it was worse in Nashville back in May, April, May, June,
Yeah.
which is when I was there, than
Hmm.
it was here as far as heat and humidity went. It was awful, awful
Yeah. Yeah.
this year.
Yeah. All right. Um, well, Pinky, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to share all of this wonderful information about your journey, your experience, cost of living. All this information is very helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure to share. I really love the decision I made to come here. I think that people will have a more organic and enjoyable experience if they actually have truthful things to come from. If you have a little bit of information, you can navigate things a lot more effectively.
Yes, well said. All right. Well, Pinky, you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again.
You too.